MMA is famous for its trash talks.
What I will do is tell you, look at that, and the moment you turn around, I knock you out.
Can fans expect some celebrity moments, some VIPs?
Look at the MMA community, and the Brave Nation uses this term for His Highness, calls him the Prince of Gladiator.
So finally, Hamza Kooheji is making his return after 2 years at Brave 91. What does this comeback mean for Bahrain?
I think, see, there's one thing which is a little bit emotional for all of us in Bahrain, right? Like you have a brave event in Bahrain. When Hamza is not there, you miss something. There's an element that is missing every time, and that's because he is a face of mixed martial art in Bahrain.
Bahrain?
Yes, he's been a big part of the growth of mixed martial art. When His Highness Sheikh Khalid actually asked me and Hamza to start creating a team at the beginning of KHK, it was a time when Desert Force, an MMA event, was in Bahrain, and Hamza was fighting in that event, and that was the beginning of Hamza getting the crowd to stand up from their seats. That was the first event where the crowd stood up. They didn't know who Hamza was. It's the first time you're seeing a guy fighting, but it was Bahrain. So you're there, you're at an event, and you're seeing Bahrain flag, and you're always having this feeling that I want Bahrain to win, and then you see Hamza win that fight. And we had few fighters before that who lost the fight, so he was the last hope, and he won the fight, and it was a different feeling for all of us.
This event was where?
In Bahrain.
Okay.
In Bahrain, it was Desert Force event. And after that, the journey of MMA continued, and His Highness Sheikh Khalid was like, we're going to make a team. It's called KHK, and then it took off. He shared with us the whole vision about MMA, and we were like, this is going places. It's not a short-term plan. It is a long-term plan, but it's not a plan only for Bahrain. It's a global plan for the rest of the world. So it is a plan for the industry of mixed martial art. So Hamza was a big part of that. Hamza was a part of everything. Every growth in MMA in Bahrain, you can't have that without Hamza. You cannot mention about MMA's development without Hamza. So there's an emotional side to it, of course, when Hamza is coming
Emotional
back.
as in because he's Bahraini?
No, it's because he's rooted into the sport of MMA. I mean, it's
Okay.
almost like everything we know about the
there's a
young
history behind.
absolutely young generation that's inspired by Hamza and everything else. They're coming, and now you look at our wrestling team that we have, the young wrestling team. It's beautiful to see young kids at the age of 10, 12, 13 wearing the singlets and walking as if they are Dagestani fighters, and that mentality that they have with so much confidence. Where they come from, somebody has to show. Somebody has to go out there and show that I can do it. And it's not just saying that I can do it and I've done it once upon a time, but being there and doing it day in, day out. And you see
Leading his people.
leading it, and you see the example of what an example he is. You will not see him outside partying. You will not see him having a social life. It's all different. He's one guy that is and we're
Pure
glad that
fighter's mindset.
absolutely, and we're glad that Hamza Kooheji is the example, because he is what a young generation should look at and learn from. Forget about the fighting skills and everything else. Just from learning from an individual how to achieve dreams and how to be an athlete, then that's an example. You can just cut and paste what Hamza does. So that's a little bit emotional. Of course, being Bahraini as well, for Bahrain it's a little bit emotional because he's been there always making you stand up. If you've gone to an MMA event, Hamza has made you stand up from your seat, and that's the way it is. So from his walkout to his music to the aura that the stadium has when he's fighting, it's almost like, so much weight on his shoulder, but he'll never make you feel like he's feeling heavy. He'll always make you feel like, thank you for cheering for me, because that's my strength and pride. That's the feeling he gives the fans. We've always asked, do you feel pressure? Do you feel pressure with all this? And he says, no, it's my strength. These fans fighting in Bahrain, all these fans that's looking at me and cheering for me and wishing me to win, this is my strength. How can it be a pressure? That's an example of a fighter here. So it just makes you more happier to cheer for him and be there and support Hamza. And that you cannot miss Hamza's fight in Bahrain. That is something an experience that you will miss. And you will not get that with the biggest concerts or singers that comes in and performs. You will not get that aura, because
You just sold me this show now.
yeah, it's something else, and you will go back from the event with an out of the world experience. It's something else, because it's not about how good the light was or the music was. It was something that I didn't know why it was why I wanted the person to win, why I was feeling the energy of everybody else. And you realize that as a businessman, you want to share that energy to your team, and the team, you hope that the team member shares the same energy, and you get everybody to share the energy, and you create something that you would never be able to make yourself. And that's what when we say that sometimes you could have the best players in a team, but you're still not winning because you're not able to, when you're the pride or the ego of the team, what happens is you stop sharing that emotions. You're always looking to take. You're not willing to give. Unknowingly, subconscious mind is not really, and I wish that if everybody could share, you're creating something special that the young generation teams are doing. And you're like, how is that team playing like they're one? How is that energy? They're happy. When they score a goal, they're celebrating us. All that energy is creating something unique that nobody can beat. And that's the energy you'll feel just by being a fan at Brave event when Hamza is fighting, And I'm a promoter. I'm sitting there as a president of Brave Combat Federation, and I have my legs are shaking. I'm elbowing the guy next to me, and I'm like, I should not be biased, and I'm open about it. And I don't go out there and fake and say that I'm not biased. I don't care who wins. Of course, you have this feeling. I can't change this feeling that Hamza is fighting, but we are Brave Combat Federation. We are looking for the best fighter to fight against the best fighter. And that's what makes Brave what it is today. When you ask about how we found Gamzat, Mokaevs, Ilya Tapurias, it's because the best fight against the best, and the winner is ultimate, for sure, the best talent. It's the easiest way to find who's the best. And that's the cream of the cream. You scout aggressively, you bring the best talent, make them compete against each other. So Hamza is not fighting an easy opponent. Hamza is fighting a young 19-year-old Turkish animal. This kid from Turkey has 25 amateur fights, out of which 33 he won. He has broken the records at the year of 19 years old. He is the second most highest win record at the professional level with 12 wins. He got our attention by becoming the first person to call out Mokaev when they knew he signed with Brave. He's like, I need this guy. I need to fight Mokaev. I need to beat him to put my name to where his name is. Take all his glory away from him. That's the kid that's fighting Hamza in Bahrain.
So that's epic.
Absolutely. This is not Brave Combat Federation where we say we are happening in Bahrain, so we want to give him a fight that he's going to win. You're going to fight the best against the best. You're at the pinnacle of the sport today. You're finding out who's the best bantamweight in the world. So Hamza Kooheji, for me today, is one of the top 5 best bantamweights in the world. Definitely the best bantamweight in the Middle East at this stage from his ranking and what he's achieved. You're fighting against the best, whether it's Bahrain or whether it's in UK or Ireland or anywhere in the world, you're going to be fighting against the best. It happens to be in Bahrain. This fight is even more exciting because he's fighting against one of the top fighters in Turkey and the best bantamweight in Turkey, and arguably one of the best record holder from numbers.
Fighting for flyweight? Not the
Bantamweight.
Okay.
Mokaev is fighting for flyweight.
Okay.
Mokaev is flyweight, and that's another story.
Perfect. So talking about Mokaev, if we dive in there, he's most talked about fighters in 2024, and he's also coming. He was also doing a very big comeback from UFC, right? There's, like you said, so much emotions together in these.
Yes.
Brave 91 and what he said? And 92, right?
Yes, 92. I think 92 with the India and Pakistan, that's going to take it next level. But Mokaev, you look at Mokaev's history. Why is he the most talked about athlete? He is a full package. You're looking at talent, you're looking at charisma, you're looking at...
and undefeated.
And undefeated. That's a full package you can get. Like, this is a dream for anyone in sports. It's almost like getting Cristiano at the age of 23. What was he? He was the top of the world. And that's Mokaev at 23 years old. He's got everything. Like, there's nothing you can see as a weakness. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's a great striker. He sells the fights. He has fantastic social media following. Wow. He has stories that's crazy when he had to tweet. I think it could be completely wrong with what the incident was, but I think his fiancé or his partner wanted to get a visa in UK, and there was having challenges, and he sent a tweet to the government, and the next day he got the visa. It's the power of
his power.
It's a social media power he's got. The fan base is very strong, so he had everything together. But then it's a story of a kid at the age of 15. He wanted to achieve something great in his life. He dreamt, and he put everything to achieve that. He didn't lose the belief that he's going to be a UFC world champion and youngest world champion in UFC history. That's what his goal was. And one fine day, one of his social media comments, he got tagged in the comments of his post on his social media. He got tagged my Insta handle, and then he checked who I am, and he found out that he's the president of Brave Combat Federation. And then he's like, "Oh, I want to thank the person who tagged organization president. Someone cares about me, so he clicked the person who's tagged me, and he found out this is the son of the king of a country. This is the prince. This is His Highness Sheikh Khalid. And he was like, and that shows a lot about why Brave is Brave and where our values and our ethos of the company comes from. Is it doesn't matter you're a 15-year-old talent, but if you have the talent, it doesn't matter who I am or who you are. We will find the talent and we will go there to support the talent. And that was the beginning of Mohammed Mokaev's journey.
Lot of these fighters approach you, or you scout for fighters. Like how's this taking place? Like you said, someone tagged you, and then that's how
Yeah.
it sparked.
So this is the craziest part of the sport at this stage, right? Because there's thousands and thousands of fighters, and there's no room for everybody.
Yeah, of
You
course,
know,
yeah.
so this is where the challenge is. With Brave, we do both. There's a huge set of people that comes and reach out to us. We have great collaborations with a lot of managers. We work with a lot of promotions that are national promotions. So that's where the filtering process come in. So that's they give fights to their athletes, so we can filter through them. So
Who
from
filters that? You personally, or you have a
I mean,
team?
the data shows it, right? I mean, it's just the data
Data.
because you're looking at Slovenia and you have WFC, who's our partners there. So they keep making competitions for 20 years now. And it's so much more easy. Who are their top tier athletes? Those are the athletes we work with. IMMAF, the amateur level. If you look at Mokaev, he's a legend at the amateur level, you know. So with the world championships that he's won all the things that you can win at IMMAF World Championship at the amateur level. For us, it's a no-brainer to scout this kid. But then there is situations like this where His Highness Sheikh Khalid, I always say, his eye for talent is something that I've never seen. I've been for the past 10, 12 years. And before that, I was a coach. So I should be having eye for the talent, you know. But I've seen so many coaches. I've seen so many managers, so many organization presidents in the sports world, not only MMA, but the eye for talent that His Highness has, it's something special. It's almost like magic for me. So at the age of 15, when he tagged me on the comment of Mokaev, I didn't really know that who Mokaev is going to be. And look at him today. I mean, he broke all the records of IMMAF at the amateur level during his time there, came to Brave, was on a streak that was unbeatable, and then made his name, went to the UFC, broke the record of his division today, and then the whole world crashes for that kid. Everything crashes when they don't re-sign
Who
him.
will be he fighting against? Sorry.
Mokaev is fighting at Biko, Lutanda Biko.
Okay.
Lutanda Biko is the number one flyweight in Africa.
Okay.
So whatever you say about Mokaev and everything else, you're bringing in the number one flyweight in Africa to fight against him. So there is no
Is
comparison
it
to.
easy for Mokaev?
See, when you look at talents in Africa, historically in sports, we know that the best talents in the world in any sport actually comes from Africa, let alone the number one ranked flyweight in Africa. So there is no question what Mokaev is going to face is a crazy challenge. But Brave Combat Federation, we boast that we have the best flyweight division in the history of MMA today. No organization has the quality of flyweights that we have. If you look at Mokaev and Shorty at the flyweight division alone, they must have two guys alone is you can compete with UFC's flyweight division. And if you look at other organizations, they all have great flyweights, one or two. But if you look at the roster of Brave, we have arguably, for sure, for me, I wouldn't say arguably, I would say certainly the best flyweight division in the world. And we are open to having these flyweights compete against the best in other organizations. We are open to that as well. And that is what Mokaev is going to make a statement for him. He's out of when his world crashed because UFC didn't re-sign him. He always had the goal of doing something bigger today while the time he's until he goes back to UFC, and I don't have a problem with that as Brave. It's his dream since he was 15, since we met him. If he didn't have the dream anymore, I would question his passion to become a champion. But since his dream is there, I know this kid is not going to let go of the dream. He's going to be a UFC world champion, and he's here with us, and we understand that. And he's not going to be with us forever, you know. So while he's here, he knows that with Brave and UFC and Mokaev, they can make a change in MMA, and he's going to make that change where he's going to say that the best fighters are there outside of UFC as well. Let's bring and find out who the best fighter is, and we're going to help him do that.
It shows also Brave's values, like nurturing a fighter. They go anywhere and then they come back, and you're openly welcoming, and and then saying, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
You know, where's that coming from? Is it from your team, His Highness?
I think the whole organization starts from the leadership, right? And if you have leadership like His Highness, who has changed multiple lives, and you look at the MMA community, and the Brave Nation uses this term for His Highness, calls him the Prince of Gladiator, and it was an interesting name that we realized when it was being used. We took that name as well for our videos, but it didn't come from nowhere. It came from a place where you're looking at His Highness Sheikh Khalid, and I spoke about the eye for the talent, but even more than that, how many lives has he changed from multiple countries, and those each individual stories, like Mokaev's story. I am a story of that
Yeah.
itself. Hamza is a story. Eldar is a story from Dagestan. So you're looking at Mokaev, an immigrant from Dagestan in UK, and how his life changed. There are some crazy stories of how he came to Bahrain for a world championship. Problems with his immigration, he had problems entering the country, and he was not going to compete in the world championship. He got that opportunity to compete in the world championship and to break that IMAF record before going to the pro level. But Shorty Torres, Khabib, I think you look at it, there's a lot of examples of people that their lives changed and become something else. But then you look at the back, and one thing is in common, and that's support of His Highness. So when you get from that are the values where you always say that business is good, business will run, organization's growth is there, competition is great, but do not lose what the actual values are, and that has to be true values. If you lose those true values in what your organization is, and you somehow get a little bit blinded that it is, I could lose it for a second for money, or I could lose it for a second to beat the competition, it does not work. So we have very strong values passed from the top, and he leads by that example, how he shows up to every single event, corners athletes to support them, and those little things where it is always going to be about the athletes, the fighter, and the organization. That's what we live up to. So it's every day morning to work, go to work, and stay there for 24 hours, out of which I say 24 hours because even the 3-4 hours you sleep is also work, because you need to recover to get back and put everything you have. We never feel like it's a difficulty. We never felt like we could do that for another 100 years if needed to, every single day, because we know that it's bigger than us. It's bigger than a company. It's much more bigger than that.
Talking about values, I mean, MMA is famous for its trash talks, and without that, it doesn't preach. And how's Brave? Do they allow it, or does it happen in the Brave? Or or is there any what do you call censorship on this thing?
Two things, right? Of course, there's always a limit for everything. I mean, in the sense that if it reaches to a point that it is becoming something that is unacceptable, you can't. We don't want to involve trash talks that crosses lines that is beyond sports.
Your culture and
Country, culture, or anything else for that matter. I mean, as long as it is within the sports, it's about competition. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I mean, we.
yeah, without that, I mean, it wouldn't be even interesting because it's a man fighting the other man. So
You're talking about the best fighter against the best fighter. What is a best fighter? I don't need to beat you because my muscles are stronger than you. I am the best fighter. What I will do is tell you, look at that, and the moment you turn around, I knock you out. You're going to say, oh, that was cheating. How can that be cheating because I'm smarter than you? So the brain doesn't matter in fighting. Everything is fighting. So are you a fighter in life, in business, wherever you are you a fighter? What is a fighter? What is the best fighter? You have to be good at everything. When you talk about the greatest swordsman, Musashi Miyamoto, there's a book of Five Rings, and it's a good read for anybody, like the Sun Tzu book. It's a good read for any industry. But in the book of Five Rings, he says that there was times when he has to compete in one of the competitions, but theirs was swords. They used to kill each other. But in that competition, he's like, I used to come late to the competition. Why? Because the person starts increasing that orchestra that we were playing in the beginning of the podcast that we were talking about.
yeah.
He by mistake increased his anger part of the music, which is he started getting angry because he's waiting for the other guy, and he feels disrespected because this guy's not taking this seriously. But you were fully balanced. You just messed it up, and I messed it up for you, but just by being late. So things matter. So when I walk into the cage, you walk into the cage before me, I can delay my walkout because you're standing there and waiting for the second guy to come in, and my music or my song is a 1 hour song, and I'm making you wait in the cage, and you're cooled down. And then this is Naseem Hamed, one of the most famous boxers. You should check this guy's uh, highlights. So he used to dance when the music is there, but he's not walking in. He's dancing and dancing and dancing for a long time. Then the other guy, he's cold. His muscles are, he doesn't have, he's not in the movement. So he's cold now. His muscles are stiff and he's dancing. So he's still warming up, really,
Warming up,
But
yeah.
these are strategies. So trash talk, if I get into your
Wow,
head,
I
I
didn't
get
know
into your
that.
head. So if I say things to you and if that's affecting you, I'm sorry. So in business, if I want to take you over, if I want to take your business over, I just need to make you angry and you're going to get pissed off and try to punch me and I can sue you. I mean, how stupid are you? You know what I mean? So you would do that in business if you could win that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fighting. So fighting is complete. You're talking about everything. So you have to let them go through some things. But yes, like I said, there is a certain line that you draw where you have to also understand that it is something that the world is watching, and it is, in the end of the day, you should be able to compartmentalize and break them down and segregate them and say that there is entertainment, there is sports, there is media, but there's the big part of it, which is the young generation and the youth. And you are an inspiration to them, and every competition and every athlete is an inspiration, so they learn a lot from it as well. So there is an amount of competition style trash talk
Okay.
which gets into your head, and maybe that could be enough for me to rattle you a little bit or change your business game plan when you come in. Your coach told you just wrestle with him, but when I reached there, all that trash talk that I gave you really feel like punching me. Big mistake. You are not a better boxer than me, and that's what I wanted you to do instead of wrestling with me. So these kind of things,
So it's all trick and
it's
tactics and
it's chess. It's chess. It's like jiu-jitsu. They say it's human chess, but I think when it comes to MMA, it's there's just 1,000 more pieces in that chess game. That's the difference.
talking about this, your first fight, I think, in Thailand, you saw someone sitting besides, and it seems you smiled at him.
Yeah.
Didn't know that he was your opponent.
Yeah.
Tell me something about it.
I mean, the whole experience, right? When I talk about that, everybody has to go through it. I went to Thailand and uh, definitely, like you mentioned, when you leave, drop out of school, you're not earning money. So I found ways to have enough money to get a flight ticket there.
Yeah.
And luckily, we had a fantastic gym in Koh Samui, WMC, and they've let me sleep in the gym. And now
Wow.
I need to eat. Well, that's also a very important thing. So I didn't have the money to go on eating. So I bought a protein shake and a Nutella because both can last for a long time. So every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you have a scoop of protein shake, and you can use water for that. So that's fine, not expensive. And then you have a spoon of Nutella because you want to get some sugar and energy into you. So you survive on that. And I was surviving on that while I was in Thailand.
For how many months or
It
days?
was 3 months in a row, and then I did another 3 months because I had to get fights. There was no fights in the region at that time, so I didn't know how to get fights. So I had to go and do this. So while I was going through that experience, I was falling sick because of the
Yeah.
change of
I
diet.
mean, literally every day.
Yeah, yeah, that
It
was my
doesn't make
life.
sense for me. Like
Yeah, yeah,
how?
yeah, yeah. Nothing was healthy. You had to survive. It was not really healthy, but I had to go through that. I need to get fight. I've lost a lot of weight. There might be a small clip of me wrapping my hands. You wouldn't recognize that's me. It looks like a rat, you know. You will see. You're like that was me at 65 kg or something. It was something very crazy. And then they got me finally a fight, and I'm like, this is it. My life is changing. I'm in tears.
Super excited.
I'm in tears, and I started overtraining a little bit more because of that, more unhealthy.
Wow.
But it was the best feeling I've ever had in my life. So and I thought that was the best feeling I ever had in my life. And then it's 6 p.m. It's dark. One pickup comes out of the outside of the gym and honks, and I come out with my bag, and I'm like, "How are we going?" They're like, "Jumping back of the
Oh,
pickup."
no way.
I jump back of the pickup, and the pickup goes all the way through the jungles and everything else. And I'm like, am I really going for a fight, or this is? And I don't have mobile phone and reach and everything else to call family and say that if I don't come back, like, because I don't know where I'm going. And all the way, they finally just goes to the tree, and I reach this place, and it was supposed to be a stadium. So I went in, and I'm seeing people drunk and screaming and betting and all that stuff going on. It's the cultural Muay Thai kind of thing that's going on, the music, and then the coach takes me, doesn't speak English, pulls me to, and nobody speaks. It's all Thai language, and I'm literally don't know what to feel. And they put me into a room and they're like, you know what, we had oil, you remove your clothes and everything else. And they put this Thai oil on you before the fight. It's just a
Okay.
warm oil. You put all over your body and this guy starts massaging me, gets me ready and then puts this headgear on top of my head and then puts a flower on my neck. And I was like, it's like a
Flower?
chicken. Yeah, they had to put something on your
Okay.
neck as well. So it's like a flower, something. So you're preparing you. It's almost like I'm being prepared to be slaughtered, you know? So so they put the flower, they put the headgear, they put this robe on me and everything, and they turn me and they're like, go out, you know, and they put me in the seat and I'm sitting there, you're next, ready. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you know, and I'm just stuck there and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I look to my right and I see another guy similar to me prepared and sat next to me.
Okay.
And I'm like, he feels what I'm feeling, you know? So I'm looking at him in that way, like, hey, bro, we're the same, you know, we must, you know, make some friendship or something. So I smile at him and he's not smiling at me, you know? I'm like,
Just
okay.
pissed.
And I'm like, there's something going on with him. Maybe, you know, he's not taking it as lightly as I am taking it, maybe.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, you guys are next. And then they pull us up together. And then he goes to the other corner. I'm like, oh shit, you know, like that's my opponent, you know. So, uh, but then I fight and the fear and the anxiety, the excitement and everything else, all the feelings that I
Gave
had,
it all in.
that was the first time I felt that this is an experience. And I, till that time, I had this little phobia of flying in planes. I was always worried about flying in plane, and I couldn't deal with it on those times. I never used to fly so much at that time. After this fight, I had to finish the fight, come back,
About the
change.
fight, you won the fight.
Yes. So I won the fight, and I came back to my room, had to pack my bags and rush to the airport. And I went to the airport, and I still had the tapes,
Yeah.
the marks of the tapes on my hand. It was stuck there, so they had to rip it off, and I had to mark. I couldn't take a shower. I had to just jump to the airport.
So yeah,
Yeah, so I was
the
in my
fight.
flight, and with the tape still on my hands, and zero fear of flying. I just realized that I
Oh, no way.
no more fear. That phobia is gone now. But it came from the idea of realizing how much you know yourself. And you realize how much you didn't know yourself when you're there with all that emotions. And then that becomes a struggle. And that becomes a fight that you're living every day when you're running, you're training, you're doing that extra push ups. Everything becomes more about teaching yourself and learning within yourself, and it becomes much more bigger than that. But yeah, that experience was something that was a big change in my life for everything, I
You
think.
feel like you achieved something, or you feel like yeah, this is beginning of all.
Absolutely. Yeah, I knew that it was not about the win or fighting. It was something so much more. So for me, that was a moment I realized when I was in the flight that it's not just because I want to be a fighter. I want to be the best human I can be, and this is the path that will take me there.
Did you cry?
When I won the fight, no, I didn't, because there was a guy who bet 10,000 baht on me,
Yeah.
and and I was looking at him, and he said that he's gonna give me 50% of the win, and I was like, where are the guys? And but that was happening all the time. But it was, you know, you're more in this position of what's happening. You know, you won the fight, and you really don't know what's next, because the whole experience is something else. So now they're gonna take you out. Where you're gonna take you? What's gonna happen? So it was an interesting experience
I'm
by
just
itself.
rephrasing the question. It's not crying. It's not crying out of sadness or something. I'm saying the emotions which you said. You
Yeah.
said, all these emotions together. You just living on protein shake and Nutella for 3 months and plus 3 months. I don't know
Yeah.
what. Then suddenly you are just picked up with a pickup, and all
Yeah.
that emotions after winning.
Yeah.
Like, what was your experience? What was your like? We don't have. I don't think so. We have a video footage of it. What was your face then? Did you scream? Or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to know
I
the.
definitely scrumped. I mean, I love celebrating my wins, you know, and I love to do that, and I let myself celebrate.
Because that win is not just for the match, it's
Yeah.
all that 6 months and 3 months
Yeah.
and living in the gym and etc.
Absolutely. And immediately, I mean, for me, I did celebrate the win, but like I said, the emotions are something that I'm still trying to absorb what just happened, you know, because you were out of your body. I was out of my body, and I was just watching myself perform. And even that fight, it's crazy that there was a guy who was taking the video, and I made sure that he's supposed to take a video, and somehow he couldn't take the video for some reason, which is really sad. But for me, I still can't remember the fight completely. I know I won. I knew it was a second round knockout, but I can't remember it.
How many years back was this?
It was 2009, 2008 or 9. But I can't really remember. 8 for sure, yeah, 2008. Because 9 I
So
was.
many things that happened after it. I mean, yeah. I
Yeah,
know that you wouldn't remember, but at least since it's the first fight,
the
you being on the
feeling.
flight, you getting
Yeah.
outside and watching that fight yourself I don't know how many million times. I mean, I would
Oh
do that
yeah.
if I did.
Yeah, the feelings was amazing. I mean, that's when it's just something else. That's why I say everybody, that experience, after that, if I would have quit fighting, the lessons I learned from it, of what you are as a human being and what you should do in your life and how important that is, that's something else. And that's why I said that experience of that walk to the ring or a cage or anything else once in your life, um, it's going to enlighten you much more than you think.
Yeah. Can fans expect some celebrity moments, some VIPs? Whom are we seeing at the Brave 91 and 90?
You never know. I mean, that's the crazy thing, right? Like you look at Brave events.
Some secrets out, at least for the show.
Now, I'll tell you how it works, right? Like a lot of people think that when you look at Brave, the history of Brave, right? I mean, Brave is something much more bigger than just an MMA event, like we say, you know. So every country we go to, we're into the sports development side. So yes, you're going to have government officials. Yes, you're going to have some of the biggest private sector companies and CEOs and chairmen and founders and owners be there. But at the same time, the connection between government, head of government organizations, private sector business tycoons, it is inevitable that you're going to see celebrities, and it's a circle of everybody with each other. It's one of those compact networking opportunity, and that's Brave Combat
It is a
Federation.
networking opportunity. This is interesting.
There's nothing like an MMA or a combat sports event that you will meet a mixed and diverse set of people coming together. It is not a football match that you're going to watch just to celebrate. You're going there to meet the who's who. You know, you're going to see
Oh,
someone.
yeah.
So, and people look
Something
at
like F1 and,
yes, a compact version of it. So you would end up coming there, and you would not, and you didn't pay me for it. You're going to be there, and you're going to get selfie with someone. You know, it's normal. You look at Brave events, you'll see a bunch of selfies that people have, whether it was with His Highnesses, whether it is with actors, whether it is with sports
how
celebrities.
approachable is His Highness for the selfies and the fan
His Highness is, I
conversation?
mean, if you look at His Highness and Brave, that's something I learned. You know, I mean, in the beginning times, we were. It's our event, and you were always worried about everybody's security, you know, and you're there at an
Yeah, of
event.
course, yeah.
But when His Highness, when you look at the Brave events he's traveled, you look at the events in Bahrain, it's just beautiful to see how approachable he is. People are there taking selfies, and I'm sure a lot of people who are the fans, that's one of the challenges we as a promoter have to deal with, is you'll see all the seats standing and coming to one side, and it's just harder for us to manage the seating because everybody wants a selfie. But that's with everything. But that's Brave. When you go to Brave, it's a mix of, you'll see VIPs. I mean, what is VIPs? You're looking at government VIPs, you're looking at businessmen, and everybody, and many of them don't know each other because you're looking at the biggest influencer from Brazil sitting, and you're
Oh,
there, and you're a Bollywood actor.
so there are many people traveling for
Yes.
the event.
Yeah. So you could be associated with the fighter, you could be traveling for the event. So it's just a mix of people that you see there. And this Brave event, you're going to see very similar thing when you come there, and you'll be like, okay, these are some of the countries government authorities here. You'll see the IOC side, or you'll see the
Yeah.
sport accord side there at international sporting industry leaders. But then you'll see celebrities here and there. You'll see sportsmen. You'll see movie actors. It's a mix of everybody. So, but people think that we bring them in the sense that you're paying a celebrity to come. It's Brave Combat Federation, and most of our costs are actually put on the event. We don't spend money on celebrities. I mean, that's not something that we do. We believe in putting on one of the best experience for everybody,
Yeah.
whether people want to network, people want to make deals, people want to get exposure. Everything is there at Brave event, you know. So you're going to come and have a full experience.
I don't know. I never thought. I mean, recently I'm like trying to push myself to the events because I thought I wouldn't go to F1 because I don't follow F1. I wouldn't go to MMA because I don't follow MMA.
Correct.
But now you're saying I'm a businessman and you need to go there to get these networking opportunities,
Yeah.
especially because for our niche, my niche is near recycling. We go for these kind of conventions outside Bahrain, but you seldom know people inside Bahrain, you
Yeah.
know. And when you have strong connections here, I mean, with these events, that's amazing to be honest. And that's, I think, a big lesson for the businessman. I mean, don't get busy on your daily hustle and bustle. I mean, attend what the island has to offer, right?
Absolutely, and when you have events like this, it's the best opportunity for them to be a part of it. And it's not a place you're going to go there and sit and talk business. The feeling that I'm having and you're
It's just a
having,
connection.
And yeah, so when we are there with me and you as two businessmen, let's say, our mentality is not sitting and having a meeting in some place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We are in a different atmosphere. We're in an atmosphere of
Of course, of
inspiration,
course.
celebration. Everybody's the winning, losing. It's a competition atmosphere. It's fantastic feeling to be there and talk business. So you want to talk business in that atmosphere. You're gonna have a different impact, and you'll see the results of it.
The best thing is the spark. Like, when we attend volunteering activities, or when you're attending alumni, like, reunions of friends, like, it's a different experience. In this, like, I was at my school, Riyadh school alumni event. I was speaking there and things like that. You wouldn't believe the amount of connections I remade in that event. like
True.
like 10 to 15, everyone sharing the contacts, what you do, da, 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 da. Even now people are contacting, hey, are you in Bahrain, let's meet, I have this thing, I'm starting up a new business in Bahrain, and many things like that. Like, it's not about having the business meeting inside, it's that spark you make in these events, and you get to know, like, there, yeah, Nimshid is so and so in Bahrain. Wow, good. Whenever I'm going Bahrain, I can meet this guy.
True.
So it's that spark which you make, and it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Actually, this is a takeaway. Now I need to come to the event.
You have to. You have to.
That's amazing. Well, the my favorite and everyone's favorite, the India versus Pakistan rivalry. Brave CF92 has fans buzzing, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
what is it about, and why this event is just after the Mokaev and
I made a promise. I made a promise before.
is this the treat?
Yeah, actually, I had to keep the promise because I made a promise before the Brave Pakistan event where we hosted our event in Pakistan with the Asian Championships, which was the first combat week that happened in Indian subcontinent. Before that event, I said that this is going to be a three-part series. It's not a one event where you go to Pakistan and just because it's in Pakistan, you want to make an India-Pakistan for the sake of ticket sales and
Yeah, yeah,
exposure.
yeah.
For me, it was personal. I always said that when it comes to India and Pakistan events, it's always personal to me because I was part of the first ever India versus Pakistan competition, and I was representing India at that time. And for me, I still don't post that video of my win because I won in like a minute or two or something like that in the first round. I never like to show it because I'm embarrassed of that win because I don't think the opponent was at my level, and,
Wow.
and I feel bad that you can't bring someone who's not my quality to fight against me, and it's not right. And that's been happening in Indian MMA industry, and you're looking at Indian MMA industry and Pakistan MMA industry. You're seeing a lot of people that wants to get Indian fighters to compete places, but they don't care about the quality, what's happening with them. So that was a mission for me to make sure that when you have an opportunity with India and Pakistan, you can actually when you bring them together, people think it's rivalry and competition. For me,
Yeah.
I say that, listen, I'm looking at it from a sports business perspective. You are talking about the most global sport in the world. You're talking about the a market that is a gold mine sitting there. If India and Pakistan combine together and start working towards a sport
Yeah.
similar to what we saw in cricket, but they better be at the top level, and you bring the best athletes against the best athletes and you make a real competition combined together. They should also not be looking at it as a rivalry. What we are trying to achieve here, combined together, not we in the sense Brave, but as India and Pakistan, this three-part series could be the thing that's going to change the Indian subcontinent to become one of the biggest MMA markets in all of Asia,
Wow.
if not one of the biggest in the world, but definitely the biggest MMA market in Asia with this three-part series. So when the first part happened in Pakistan, you saw the complete support of Pakistan government, what the federation has achieved. We saw a house full, packed, ticket sold venue in Pakistan, and we saw the Indian national team get the opportunity to go and travel to Pakistan, cross the border, literally cross the border to go over and compete. And that was a historic moment to see Indian team crossing the border and how
Wow.
Pakistani army was receiving them, and all those was for me. I
You
was
see
like,
the brotherhood in.
yeah, and today the Pakistan MMA Federation has become the head of South Asia. But all that growth, so we bought the IMF Asian Championship, brave event, the government support, house full packed venue, full support from ARY media team. Everything has happened. So just one event developed Pakistan MMA.
Amazing.
Continue with it. The second part will be in a neutral territory. I'm sorry. It has to be neutral territory
Mm.
because a lot of people in India were like, hey, that's not fair, you know? Um,
Yeah.
although it was a historic moment, there's something beautiful that happened there. The second, it deserves to be in a neutral territory. So I've made
Okay.
that promise that
That
it's
will be
gonna,
in Bahrain.
it will be in a neutral territory,
Okay.
and what better place than making it happen in Bahrain? And the
Amazing.
finale, the third part, will be the finale, which will happen in India in 2025. So that's the part. So as this journey goes, a three-part series, there's one thing: the excitement of finding out the best fighters compete against the best. So there's a sporting side that's happening, because the first event, it was really hard for a lot of Indian fighters to travel because of the issues with the visas and
Yeah.
everything else. So there was this conversation that, are we getting the best fighters? But when they saw the main event between Shrikant and Rizwan, for me, I was like, everything that we tried to do to make this happen, all the difficulties that we faced, was worth every second of it. When we saw Rizwan and Shrikant, the fight was something out of a, literally out of a Hollywood movie. How Shrikant was winning the fight, first round, second round. It was unbelievable how, and Pakistan crowd is quiet, and it's happening in Pakistan, and this guy is winning. He traveled all across India and walked through the borders to get this fight in Pakistan, and he's winning the fight. And the last moment, but there was so much pressure for him as well leading up to that fight, and the things that he's going through and being in Pakistan, that you can see his lungs is not pumping anymore. And the third round comes in, and you can see he has nothing left as energy. Both of these guys have no energy left, and the Pakistani guy Rizwan threw a punch and knocked Shrikant out. So I promised Shrikant as well that he'll have a rematch on this in a neutral territory, and I think that's only fair, and nobody's going to question that decision. So for me to have that second fight to see, and on a personal level, I'm just being a little bit selfish to watch that rematch again, and hopefully it's similar to the first fight. You could just enjoy one of the best two human beings putting everything that they have into physical and mental test inside the cage. So that's why I'm excited that the India vs Pakistan 2 has Shrikant vs Rizwan 2 as well in the same card.
Damn. That's something which we are looking forward to.
Yep.
So, on the closing, looking ahead, what's your vision for the future, and what are the other countries you're getting in? Like, have you planned for 2025 ahead?
Definitely, I
I think
think
India is already on the list, which you already said.
absolutely India is already on the list, and India is going to be one of the biggest missions for us in 2025 to not only enter the Indian market but become the first place that's going to be introducing that new business model that we're talking about, which is a franchise-based business model. So the icing on the cake is going to start from India when we do the franchise model, and that's
Do
because
they have governing body for MMA?
yes, in
Okay.
India as well, but definitely I think it's a young sport. So every country that we go to, we have to take the federation and
Okay.
empower them and help them. But the Indian MMA Federation is doing a fantastic job. You'll see them at the World Championship. The Indian MMA Federation was leading the technical as a technical director for referees and judges for the international governing body as well, and for the Asian Mixed Martial Art Federation. So there's a massive growth
If I may know, the fighters are mostly from where? Like North
in
India,
India.
Central, South India. Are we getting our
it's it's
Malayalis out?
it's a beauty of MMA, right? To be honest, the beauty of MMA, because there's so much martial arts involved. When you look at wrestling, yeah, you know it's coming from Haryana,
Okay.
Delhi, from the north side,
Punjab
because
and yeah.
exactly, because that's where the top wrestlers come from. Yes, and when you look at boxing, you'll notice a lot of northeastern side of athletes coming in, because that's where the strength is. So you're looking at what kind of a fighter you are. Are you a wrestling based fighter? Then you'll see a lot of north. If you see a lot of boxing, you'll see northeast. But then kickboxing and karate and all the stand up martial arts are widespread everywhere. So we're seeing a really good mix. And this event, you'll also see, and the good thing about MMA is that you are a traditional martial arts world champion, Olympics, or anything else, you still have the opportunity to transition to MMA. So in Bahrain, at India vs Pakistan event, you're going to see Suchika, who is Commonwealth gold medalist for judo for India.
Wow.
She is going to be competing in MMA and doing her second fight. So sure, she has her fame, she has her following, she has her fan base and everything, and legacy through
Yeah.
judo and what she's done for India as a judo player. And now she's transitioned to MMA. And one of the interesting things I was talking to my team and telling them that judo medalists and top judo players and females have done amazing when it comes to MMA. So some of the biggest names, you look at Kyla Harrison or you look at Ronda Rousey, have all come from judo background. And now we're seeing a Indian judo gold medalist in Commonwealth now transition to MMA. So you're all seeing all kinds of development. But But to be honest, when you talk
Very
about
exciting.
Kerala, some of the best talents that I remember in the early days of MMA fighters actually came from Kerala, and I remember them traveling all the way to Mumbai and having fights inside gyms. We used to have gym wars fights at
Wow.
that time, so every talent from around the country used to come to gyms, and we used to have competitions organized by federations at those times, and they used to make
Those
regulated
times, but
events
I have seen only the traditional fights like Kalari Pet and all that, like as
in Kerala.
yeah.
No, no, definitely.
I mean, have they really developed? Because I didn't see that side of the
No, I
of
wouldn't.
Kerala.
I wouldn't say that it's fully developed. I think there's so much more to improve, and I think you need to have a national ecosystem to help them improve, and a base as well. So Kerala definitely. I think at the early days it was doing much better. They had a head start with talent in the early days, but today when I look at it at 2024, I see Bangalore, Bombay, Northeast,
Everyone are coming
Hyderabad,
up.
Delhi. They're all taken over in that sense. And I think there's a huge room for improvement for Kerala at this stage. But there's no question about talent being there. 2009, 2010, when I was competing in India, there was so much talent from Kerala, and some of the guys who happen to be today moved from Kerala and are coaching in other states as well and leading
Wow.
some federations. So because that leadership was coming from Kerala
Okay.
at that stage, so they were one of the first state federations to be formed as well. So
Amazing.
it's just about consistency and giving them more infrastructure. So when Brave goes to India, Kerala is going to be one of those states that's as important to me as any other major states that's big
Awesome.
with MMA.
Awesome. So when you're going to India, are you going to one city? Or are you going to go multiple cities?
Uh, I'm sure it's India. So when they say that India is not for amateurs, they really mean it. So it's you can't go to India and think there is 1.4 billion population. We're gonna go and get one star from India, and we're gonna get all that numbers.
Yeah.
Impossible. You have different media, different languages, different movies.
Yeah.
Everything is different. You have to deal with India as a continent, and
Mm.
I look at India as a continent, and I deal with my business in India as a continent. So I know whatever I do in Kerala, nobody Northeast or North India is ever gonna know about it.
Yeah.
Just recently we've started because the OTT platforms we started having movies crossing over. The largest media content, the movies, the Bollywood or the
Yeah.
Collywood or all of that,
Of course.
that didn't cross over for a very long time. So between states and languages, now that's happening.
In this case, India being that of a big country, would Brave think of franchising some rights in future? Do you see that? Are you working on it, or is that not in the?
Absolutely. I think when you look at Brave, it's a brand. So Brave Gyms is a brand. Brave Merchandise is a brand. Brave Athleisure, sorry. Brave Athleisure, Brave Energy Drinks. We have a lot of licensed products under
Amazing.
Brave. So these are also being franchised across Bahrain. So as an event, we are the largest exported Bahraini brand in the world. So we have got, if you look at 35 countries in 5 continents, regardless of where we are, it is the most exported brand from Bahrain. But going into a country, when it comes to Brave Gym, Brave Athleisure, of course, we're looking for master franchises and franchises that will be interested
So
in
that's
expanding the
something
brand.
which is onward.
On the process, yes, yes. So you'll see 2025 becoming, every year we have a name for it. The year we give name for each year.
Well,
Based
what's the name for 2024 and what's the name for 2025?
This is the year of truth, and 2025 is the year of brave. So
Brave.
we've never used the word brave. So you have the year of voice, then this is the year of truth. The reason why we call it the year of truth this year is because the consistency that Brave had. We all knew that people look at this, how the company, how the brand is being run, and they're going to be looking at it and they're going to be like, you know, it's going to fall very soon. So in the beginning stage, they're like, there's another organization that came in, looks like it has big support, and now it's going to 3 years, it's going to be gone away. So this, after 8 years, it shows consistency, sustainable growth, but even more important than that, we have done it the right way. In MMA industry, a lot of bankers come in, they raise funds, they invest funds into the company, they use the funds to make the brand supposed to be the biggest brand. We were always stable. We didn't spend $1 million on athletes, spend hundreds of millions of dollars on
It was
media.
a sustainable
So
process.
people looked at it and they're like, whoa, after 5 years you don't look as big anymore, because everybody else is being big, but everybody else is raising funds and investing the funds and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
crashing
yeah.
because they don't have a business model. For us, we have taken the right path to make sure that unless we have the right business model, there is no need to go into fundraising and invest those funds and blast those funds for the sake of shareholders or for the sake of showing people that we are competition with UFC or anything else. We have a path, we have a vision, and we're going to be going to that direction. So
That's awesome.
And this year it shows that a lot of other organizations started crashing. A lot of organizations are showing that fundraising and having the investment without the right business model is not going to work.
Yeah.
And then the year of Brave is going to be the year that's going to make that initial change. You hear that word all the time, the turning from an event business to a sports business. What is it? What is event business to a sports business? In 2025, you'll actually see it being implemented, and the
Wow.
introduction is going to start from India.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of lessons, a lot of depth we have dived into, mashallah. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
it has been a pleasure. And we would we are looking forward to attend the Brave 91 and 92, December 13 and December 15, right?
December 13th and December 15th. December 13th is going to be the return of Hamza Kooheji, return of Mohammed Mokaev, the biggest talk in MMA. And while we talk about this, we're forgetting the title fight. We have the World Championship title fight between Nkosi and Huande. Nkosi was in Bahrain, defended his title against Shorty Torres the last time he was in Bahrain. So he's defending his title this time again. And so much more happening in 91 and 92. Definitely the return of double champ Mohammed Fakhruddin, who is also very well known in the Middle Eastern MMA industry. But the Arab fighters like Fakhruddin, Rami Hamad, and Azzuddin Darbani are going to be on 92. But I think it's being a little bit overshadowed by the India vs Pakistan, which is really exciting. By the way, there's nothing to speak about it. So it's a collaboration of all of these events in 3 days' time. So it's going to
Very
be
good
fun.
closing of the year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Having said that, we sign off. If you are watching this on YouTube and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. This helps us as a podcaster to bring you more exciting guests like Mr. Shahid. And see you signing off. Take care.